And I'd like to welcome Shannon Jackson to the IdeaCast interview series. I'm looking forward to having a very warm and wonderful conversation with Shannon. Shannon, welcome. I'm glad to have you here today.
Thank you, Justin. It's an honor to be on your show.
Well, thank you very much. And to the YouTube audience, I'll say welcome as well. I'm glad you're here. I hope that there are some good takeaways for you. I have a feeling there will be. In my researching Shannon's work, I don't think you'll be disappointed. And to you, Shannon, I'll say that there's two things I would like to take away. I want to learn from you, and I want to be inspired by you. So I'm looking forward to that. With that being said, no
I hope I
pressure.
can deliver.
Yeah. No pressure at all, but no,
Not
I,
at all. Not at
I,
all. Not at
like
all.
I said, I do my research and I just found that, I was just really vibing with what you were saying and loving it and just feeling the good intentions that you have in your work. And I'll disclose that I carry this theory around about nurses, and you've been a nurse for a long time, that they go into that profession because they care. They like people, they want to heal, they want to help. And I got that vibe from you. So that's where I'm coming from on that. So as I
That
just
is
feel that.
true. That is so true. And I'm 31 years in the profession.
Wow. Wow. Bless your heart.
It's
That's
been
just a
my
lot.
love, and it has been something that I've enjoyed and had
Mm,
great success.
mm. That's such a, it's got to be rewarding, but challenging. Like there's the equal measures, right? To do that. Well, for the YouTube audience, let's get to know a little bit about you and your background that you would like to share, and we'll catch up to where you are in modern times right now, and we'll talk about living your life without limits. But yeah, let's get a little bit of a background on you first.
Okay, well, once again, Justin, it is an honor to be on your show. I'm very excited today. And to your YouTube listeners, my name is Shannon Jackson, also known as the People's Nurse. I didn't coin myself that after the clients gave me that name. I am a registered nurse by profession, 31 years as of this year, but I'm also the owner and CEO of Living Your Life Without Limits. Living Your Life Without Limits is a health and wellness consultation business that focuses on B2B business.
Mm,
But in focusing in on B2B business, we really take a deep dive looking at the employer and employee relationships as it relates to stress, leadership development, strategic planning, coping, health and wellness, mental health and
mm.
wellness, and addressing that area. This was a shift for our organization. When we first came out, I just in full disclosure about me, I've been in leadership for the bulk of my career. A really quick story that I want to tell because it kind of ties in. So
Yeah.
I graduated as a registered nurse at the age of 22.
Okay.
I was a single parent at the age of 15 with my
Mm,
first child.
hmm
4 years later, I had my second child, still a single parent. And that wasn't easy to
Yeah.
take that, be on welfare, take two kids, kind of have to reprocess yourself and say, okay, what are you doing here? To get to the place of where you graduate as a single parent with two kids as a registered nurse
hmm
and took yourself off of welfare. So it is something that I'm humbled by and grateful to God for giving me the strength and the faith to endure
hmm
challenges that I have to admit I created of my own. So that being said, my first introduction to leadership was at the age of 23.
Okay.
So I was an assistant nurse manager who, in all intents purposes, Gwendolyn Moore was my first manager at the time. And I always tell this quick story about she comes in, and I think that's where I got my leadership. You pick up things as you go along as a leader and you put them in your basket.
Mm,
And Gwen, we used to call her Gwen for short, used to come in very early in the morning. And I'm a new nurse, mind you. I graduated at 22. I'm 1 year out. I didn't think she really knew who I was because I worked nights. At that time in the nursing profession, all new graduates had to work the off shift. You had to earn your
mm.
wings to get on days.
Okay.
So at least where I come from in California in the county system.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, she calls me in her office very early in the morning. I'm wondering, what did I do? I'm thinking fast. Did I do something wrong? Did I mess something up? Am
Oh
I
no.
going to get written up? The manager is calling me. Oh my God.
Right.
You know,
Yeah. Boom, 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 boom,
anxious,
boom.
I'm scared. All of these different things. She closes the door and I'm really getting worried.
Oh yeah.
She says to me, she says, I see something in you.
Mm.
She says, I want to groom you to be my assistant nurse manager. And I literally did this, knowing the door is closed, but I'm wondering,
Who else is in the room, right?
who's talking to? And I'm there. I'm 1 year out. I didn't think she really even knew my work, let alone thinking about offering me a position.
Mm.
She says, I'm going on vacation. Let me tell you the advantages and disadvantages. And I want you to think about it. She leaves. I go home. My God rest her soul grandmother, who was a love of my life. She was a matriarch of our family. I bounced things off. She was a mentor, a support system to me, and really helped me when I had those days when can I do it? Can I do it? And I went home and I'm mocking Gwen. I
Mm.
can't believe this. My manager is crazy.
Yeah, what'd she see?
She offered me. She's offering me an assistant nurse manager. Can you believe that? I'm like mocking her. You know,
Yeah,
she
yeah.
didn't even know this. And my grandmother is like very stern, like, you don't see?
Mm.
Grandmother. So I'm straightening up because, you know, way
Oh yeah.
I grew up, you don't talk back to grandmothers, you know,
Right, right.
from Tennessee, Southern roots, and
Yeah.
this type of thing, you know, you have to be respectful. So
Mm-hmm.
the grandmother, you know, she said, and then she began to go on and tell me things. And I said, well, Grandma, let's do this. If she comes back and she's really serious, I will really consider it.
Mm-hmm.
So Gwen, true to form, comes back. She calls me and this time I'm not worried because I know
Mm-hmm.
what.
Right, you know what's up.
So she calls me in there and she says, did you think about it? And I said, first of all, are you serious? You know, I just graduated. She
Mm-hmm.
says, yes. I'm going to send you to school. I'm going to give you training. I'm going to give you support. But the first thing that I ask of you, always make the boss look good.
Mm.
In other words, what she meant, don't do anything to embarrass me
Yeah.
because I'm giving you an opportunity. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And
It's relational. Yeah.
the rest was history. From that moment that she did that, true to form, I was promoted. I went back to school for my bachelor's degree. I went beyond that
Mm.
for my graduate degree. I began to not only perform for her, that it got the attention of others in the organization
Mm.
that went to her and said, listen, there's a new position opening up. Can we have Shannon for that position? And the rest was history. I went all the way up, left the county system because you had to wait till somebody die or retire to get a high promotion, went
Mm.
out into the private sector. And before the age of 30, I was a director of nursing.
Wow.
Then a chief operating officer where I did nursing and operations.
Mm-hmm.
Leadership is what I enjoy.
Mm.
I absolutely love imparting and mentoring and developing and speaking into the lives of people and training them. I enjoyed. And it began to grow and grow. And as I began to learn more professionally and go for more training and certifications and credentials and all that, there you have it. I continued to do all of that. Then I came all the way around to fast forwarding to 2000 and we're in 23 now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Some years ago where I said, wait a minute, I have no quality of life. I'm working hard for everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
I have to fight with everybody to get what I want for them. I had gained all this weight. I was like almost 400 pounds at the
Mm,
time. I'm not that now. And I have to show, sometimes I show these before and after pictures
mm,
of me. I'm actually aging backwards now, where I had to begin to take better care of myself.
mhm.
And that's when I quit my full-time executive job, working for other people, and opened my own business. And that's how the DBA of Living Your Life Without Limits came about.
A good origin story. And, it's fitting that you came out of that in this dual perspective of I have to take care of myself, and I've been taking care of others my whole career. And now I'm going to put those two things together
Exactly.
and walk the walk and live your word, right?
Exactly. Exactly. So when we launched our podcast and launched our conferences and different things, actually, I do an annual conference called Birth in a New Promise.
I saw that.
And I definitely will send it out. We welcome anybody and everyone for coming. And when we first started it last year, it grew.
Mm,
Everybody's already asking me this year, when are we going to do it again? It's always held in the month of September.
mm,
But the purpose of all these things is to speak into the lives. We have a motto, it's called motivation, education, and elevation.
mm,
That's what the platform does. That's what my business does, be it the employer, the individual, because we go out and do speaking conferences, just speaking into groups of individuals, motivating people to
mm,
go within themselves, and that to live their lives without limits. What am I talking about? Sometimes we put silos or boxes on our limitations.
mm,
And I'm a living example of what I made some early challenges that I created for myself, being a single parent at 15,
mm,
having my first child, and then coming back again 4 years later and making the same mistake.
mhm,
Now, I could have allowed all of those things to be obstacles for me and stay here, stay down, stay on welfare, stay in a place of, well, you caused this, you live this, and this is who you are. Or you can switch within yourself and begin to have self-love for you,
mhm,
and take that energy and forgive yourself and use it for good.
mm.
Fuel not only you, but fuel others.
Mm.
And that's what we do here at Living Your Life Without Limits.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, I do have one question about your story that you told about your coming up and arriving. Your first supervisor when you were a year out, who brought you in, what was her name again? Forgive me.
Gwendolyn Moore, we call
Gwendolyn.
her.
Okay. When Gwendolyn brought you in the office and presented you with that opportunity, now at your age, where you are with hindsight, can you see what she saw in you? Can you kind of reflect on?
I can see it now. I can definitely see it now. And I'll tell you why I can see it now, because of results.
Mm. Mm.
It's not so much me. You know how some people say, I know I'm this. No, when others have grown, the outcome of the results of people speaking that they've grown, they've developed, they got something out of it.
Mm-hmm.
That is the greatest joy. I have, as a matter of fact, you remember the DVDs?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
The DVDs.
Oh yeah.
I have so many DVDs that I have to take somewhere and get them converted. Those from employees that when I left.
Okay.
Doing that sent messages to me. They wanted me to know what I meant to them and how it transformed their lives. So I can see it because the testimonies of others, the results of work being accomplished, goals being accomplished with organizations, but most of all, lives being changed, be it personal or professional. Mm-hmm. That's the greatest joy for me. Not so much me saying, oh, I'm so wonderful, but to see the results live out in other people's lives is what I enjoy. So yeah, I can see it now, but then you're young, you're wondering what in the world is it? My grandmother being experienced and knew me inside and out saw it. And I didn't see it at the time.
Mm, mm. Yeah. Well, that makes sense though. You're vulnerable, you're young, you're finding your legs and finding your feet underneath you and you're just trying to get the basics going, and but the wiser among you, like your grandmother and Gwendolyn, they saw it and they knew that, and thank goodness for that, because that is leadership, and that was a feedback loop. Like, you were a future leader and they were people who knew how to lead effectively, not from the ego and not from any kind of bravado or anything like that, but just from sincerity, because they know what it takes to get things done and to help people to do the best they can. So that's awesome that you had that environment to move forward and become the best that your potential had for you. That's so neat. That's so cool.
And that's why I try to do the same thing. That if I see, instead of, I've been in leadership for a long time, and I have this 4 buckets. That there's the willing and the able. That's the rock star. Everybody wants that person, right? The person has the skill, the person has the talent, and the person that has the desire. They willing, they want to do it, and they have but it's like a needle in a haystack. But then there's the willing but unable.
Okay.
Person with potential. They have the desire. They want to grow. They want to be their best version of themselves, like I was. That's the Shannon back then. But they need cultivating. They need encouragement. They need mentorship. They need motivation. They need guidance. They need coaching sometimes. Be it for them in their individual lives, or be it for something they're trying to reach. So that's a person that can be the rock star, the future rock star. Work with them. Motivate them. Don't knock them down. But then the one that I think is the most deadly of all is the person that has all the skill, but not willing. That's the person that's the informal leader, not necessarily in the leadership role, but the person that want everything according to their way. They don't want to be a team player. They don't want to necessarily do it, even though they're skilled to do it, or they're going to put a fight up every time or challenge the authority every time. So that person oftentimes can create discord within an organization's culture. And go in any organization, you can see them people all the time. Those are the people that kind of keeps gossip going along, doing everything to keep the program. We don't want change. Everything's fine. We don't want anything. Then there's the last person, that's the unwilling and unable. And that's where you got to look at where would they be best suited. Either transition them out, because either they need to be in another way or another place, but you don't do the person any good if they're not willing to grow. They don't have the skill and they don't have the desire. And when you allow people to stay within your organizations in that same state with no drive and no desire to want to change, just kind of there, then you're not helping them either. Maybe it's something else that they want. Maybe another opportunity will be better. And those don't always have to be in a negative. Sometimes you need to have honest conversations and say, you know what? If you're not motivated here, what motivates you? What drives you? How can you help people? And I've done that in my career. It's sometimes that I've come in and we've done assessments, and no matter what the organization is doing, the person's not happy. They've been there, or they're there because they feel they don't have an out. You can also be a vehicle to help them into another opportunity that will be better suited for them in their career or their passion. What are they passionate about? What do they drive? Many employers don't talk to employees to get to understand them and know what they want. What moves you? What motivates you, Justin, is very different than what motivates me, right? So it is for people that work within organizations. So we should have conversations with them so that we can make it a win-win. Where it will work, where they will be more happy, because this one may be money. Everything is not money for everybody.
Right.
Something is something else.
Mm-hmm.
Because at some point I was making a whole lot of money. And I left the job when I was at the peak of my earning. I was over $250,000 a year. Who walks away
Mm-hmm.
from $250,000 a year with no job?
Right. Right. Yeah. It's
Honestly,
kind
how
of,
many people do that? Just,
yeah.
it's not like I'm a billionaire or I don't have billionaires.
Right. Right.
I don't have heirs throwing me money here and
Yeah.
there. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But my quality of health was like, whoa, wait a minute. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I am losing me. So, but the part of what the job I loved is what founded the company.
Yeah.
Motivating, inspiring, imparting, teaching, mentoring, developing, coaching, project management, all those things, what I enjoy. So I said, let me take the best of what I want to do, and then let me create my own, and then be able to reward how I want to reward without having to worry about all of that. And then
Mm-hmm.
that I enjoy and I'm passionate about.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a gamble, but I've been self-employed I call myself chronically self-employed. And I similarly left, I was in food and beverage years ago, and I left a job that was decent, good for the area. And I just started doing my own thing. And I've either done landscape or food my whole life. And so I was a chef at this place, and I said, well, I'm going to go try something else. And so I did the landscaping for a while, and then I just opened my own restaurant. And that was like, just like you, I went out on a limb and then I jumped off the limb, and, I landed and I did okay. I did okay, but it's scary. I mean, it's really not for the faint of heart. So I have a scaled down version of what you did in my life, in my history. And I appreciate the sleepless nights and the anxiety that comes from that. But you know what? When you believe in yourself and you trust yourself, it doesn't matter. Like right now, I'm in another transition. If you don't mind that tangent, I'm getting ready to let go of my current landscape business, and I have no clue what I'm going to do, and I don't care. I'm going to be
telling me that you were in the process of
yeah,
selling.
I'm going to be unemployed in 6 weeks, and I don't care. I'll figure something out. I'm resilient. I know I can. I trust myself. I know I can take care of it. So I'm getting that from you, and I'm feeling that, and I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
that is so inspiring. So anybody in the YouTube audience, if you're in that liminal space where you're like, oh, do I do it? Yeah.
Well,
Trust me,
that's the
Shannon.
benefit of going to school and having a profession too, right? At the end of the day, I'm a registered nurse. And even though I can move from doing bedside care to not doing bedside care to what I'm doing a lot now.
Mm-hmm.
There's some companies that are healthcare that employ my services. There's some that don't, that are not healthcare related.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, worst case scenario in my mind, I'm like, hey, I'm still a nurse and I can still do something. So that takes away the fear, but you can't operate in fear and faith at the same time. Once you start that journey of faith, I can speak for myself. Once I started that journey of faith, everything that I've had to do had to continue to keep that same faith, even when I'm not sure. But I can't like all of a sudden now say, okay, I'm going to go backwards. Going back to what? It's forward. It's forward. You can be strategic in your steps. You will learn as you go along the way. I mean, there's no nirvana to business. Some things work out very great. Others, you learn lessons along the way. But it was what I wanted. And most of all, even though I work a lot of hours, I enjoy what I'm doing. I enjoy it. I enjoy. And sometimes you burn in the oil many hours, 16, 20 hours. But then I say I was doing it for somebody else for 16, 20 hours. So
right.
Different. Yeah. This time I'm in the driver's seat with it. And not to say that everyone has to do their own thing to be satisfied.
Yeah.
My message to anyone is make sure whatever you do, be it you're working for yourself or working for someone else, that you are making yourself a priority. That's the messaging of it. It doesn't have to be that everyone goes and quits their job to do that. I'm not advocating that by no means, but wherever you are, make yourself a priority. Even people that don't work and have stable incomes and live generously, because I know people that been in blessed situations where they never had to work, that they've had finances means to them by generational wealth,
Mm-hmm.
but still didn't make themselves a priority.
Mm.
So making yourself a priority in the scheme of things is the messaging that I like to leave with people.
I agree. I agree. Sometimes if I'm talking to people, I'll say, if you can't love and support yourself, you can't be there or available as efficiently for others. And the giving is more painful and you don't feel, in other words, you have more flow to give if you are a little more whole in your own self. So I agree completely. I think that's such a wise perspective, to be able to give in that capacity, or
I
to be
give
able to operate. Sorry.
I give the analogy of when you get on the airplane and they give you the training and they say if you need the oxygen mask, what? Do you first before you do the other person.
Right, right.
So, right, you need to put it on you. So you have to have life. So when you are your best, when you have life, when you understand who you are and enjoy loving you, you can give it out more real and authentic to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's when we're broken
Mm.
and we're hurting that whatever we're asked to do, be it work, be it home, be it personal, it's done with such a,
Yeah.
it's a drudgery, or it's hard to get it done because I'm tired, I'm drained, I'm empty, or whatever it might be. I'm angry, or I'm
Mm.
just not in a good place in my life. So once you're in a better place mentally, you can, whatever the task may be it personal, be it business, you're able to do that with authentic heart in it.
Mm. Going back to something you said a minute ago, that third personality type at work, the able but the unwilling. Do you think that kind of psychology is part of that? That they're resentful, they may have a history of having given, and now they're just, or is it a different personality type that's the kind of person who's the gossip and the status quo and let's not be novel? What do you think? What do you think?
I think it's a mixed bag, and I've
Okay.
certainly seen it in a mixed bag.
Okay.
I think that there's some people that have been very angry. Uses your senior people that have been there for a while, maybe got passed up on some things for
Okay.
whatever reason. Not to say that they don't have a right to feel how they're feeling, because you don't know the whole story until you get
Mm-hmm.
in there. But sometimes it's that, and then sometimes it's just people that is busy doing other things and just don't have good intentions. I think it's a mixed bag. I think sometimes it's pain that's driving it, it's frustration, and then other times I just think people want to keep things going.
Okay.
And that's how they live. There's some people that love chaos and they live in chaos, and they like things being chaotic because they function in that way. So if I can be disruptive in the environment, make everybody come along on my side, then let me do it. So
Mm.
I've it in both ways.
Okay. Now, is there a strategy for that type, when you're overseeing that? Is there a way to manage that?
I think that when leaders are in organizations, first of all, what's really great, I think that more people are doing it now that they didn't do then, is do assessments of employees and leaders. I think leaders should do it too. So, your style of leadership, who are you? Do you know who you are and how you lead? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? So, the leader themselves first needs to be healed, because sometimes the style of the leader is oftentimes impacting how the employees respond because they're broken as leaders.
Mm.
They're hurting, they're frustrated, they are hurting. I got a podcast coming up that I'm going to be talking about healing the leader, because
Mm.
many leaders are hurting, and it's spewing into the work environment. There's that old adage, if the head is sick, the body is sick. So if the leader of the organization is broken or frustrated or don't have or chaotic or leading with something going on, it's going to disseminate down here. So one,
Mm.
we got to make sure the leader is in the right vein, and understand their role in support, in mentoring and coaching and leading the
Mm.
environment. Then secondly, I think how you deal with those things is, one, you need to have employees almost do their own SMART goals and do an assessment of what are their strengths and their weaknesses. What are their opportunities? What are their goals? What is it that they want? What moves them? What motivates them? So you need to know your players, not just from okay, you are the, just for the sake of healthcare, you are the LVN, you are the clerk, you are the monitor tech, you are the pharmacist. I know what you're supposed to do, but who are you as the individual?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have skin in the game? Or what is it that drives you? Why are you at the organization? What does this mean to you? Do you understand the culture of the organization, or is the culture meeting your expectations?
Mm-hmm.
So I think you have to have those level conversations first so you can see where the intentions are and let people have a voice. Listen. Sometimes we don't do enough listening to employees. Then after you've done that and you've allowed them space and time to express and listen attentively, not judge, not correct, listen to them so you can understand. Then you can look at a plan of action. Many people go all the way to the plan now. Say that without first getting some information, investigation. What's going on here?
Yeah.
Why is Mary or John acting that way? Let's have the conversation first. Then, is there expectations in line? We have to set expectations, mutual, for the employer and the leader and the organization. What is the expectation? What are the performance expectations? I don't know, Justin, if you hear a lot, I talk to a lot of people in cross spectrums, but the work culture now is so toxic in so many organizations. It's like the mass there. I did a podcast not too long ago called The Quiet Quitter.
I saw that.
And the quiet termination versus the termination. So people are literally at work right now at 11:40 Pacific Standard Time, and they're already mentally clocked out of the job. I just haven't left yet because I have bills, I have obligations, and I haven't found what I'm looking for, but I am mentally clocked out. Now, in my career, in full disclosure, when I have been in an organization and I no longer felt that I was either valued or could give value, I didn't stay. I recognized I was clocking out and I went and did something about it. Either I made the move or I talked to the individual and said, listen, I'm not inspired anymore in my earlier years, or I feel I need a change. As a matter of fact, when I left my last leadership job, where I was in a regional role for a home health organization where we had several home care, private and concierge facilities, I went to the president and CEO of the company. I said, you know what? I've lost myself. I said, but I love the company. I love what we've done. We've accomplished a lot, but I no longer can do this anymore. And I don't want to be coming here and being clocked out, just collecting. And we set up a transition plan. We did. So when I left, I left on good terms. I transitioned out. He hired me on 3 months afterward as a consultant to train and transition some other people in, because even though I gave him adequate notice, they still had vacancies of things that people didn't know how to do. So he hired me 3 months. So there's opportunities like that that can happen as well. Where it doesn't always have to be, you understand what I'm saying? A negative way where it has to be confrontational or aggressive. It can be transitional where both win. It just doesn't work for me as the employee anymore, or it may not work for the employer anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, that sounds like an amicable means of your departure, as well as that helping them to continue with not falling off the tracks too far because of your departure. That's beautiful that that worked out that way. In fact, to amend something I said earlier, when I was a chef at a particular corporation whose name you would immediately recognize, there was a problem manager, and he was violent and very aggressive. In the early 20th century in France, you would have chefs that would throw things at you or burn you or do stuff. But in the this is the late 90s, almost 2000s, or actually it was about 2000. You don't do that, especially in a big corporation. He would throw things at people, and they tolerated it. I in fact, as a subordinate, I dragged him into the office one day because he blew his top and he was being physically aggressive and verbally abusive. And I tried to have a heart to heart with him, and I said, "Look, what are you doing?" I was one level below him, and I thought I could, and I wasn't being insubordinate. I'm like, "Dude, what are you doing? You're not." And it seemed irreconcilable, and that was one of the things that wedged me out. I still gave my what I should give as an employee, as the level I was expected to perform. But yeah, like you said, I was emotionally pulling away and detaching, not investing myself into that in that structure and that system. So I can relate to that. And I'm just reflecting on that now. And it's like, wow. And I found out through the grapevine, and this is not Schadenfreude, and this is not me taking pleasure, but he had a nervous breakdown at some point. So he obviously had some things that nobody was recognizing in this big corporation, right?
So it goes back to what I said about the leader.
Yeah.
It goes back, it correlates directly to what I said, that sometimes the leader is sick.
Yeah.
There's something going on. And what happens, it translates into the culture of the organization. Mm-hmm. People don't want to admit it. And what you want is someone in the position of authority, be it the board, if it's the higher president or CEO or executive or whoever they report to, because most people that are leaders have a board or some sense of someone, or a trusted friend if it's a smaller company where there is no big board, and maybe the board is that one individual and they have that, to be able to say, hey, what's going on with you is impacting the productivity and the morale of the organization.
Yeah.
Care enough to be able to confront, and hopefully a leader will be open enough to be able to receive, because confronting is one thing, receiving is another, because ultimately there's something else going on that violence in any way, be it verbal, and a lot of people may not be doing physical.
Right.
Hitting in this case, but they're verbally abusing the people that they're working for, that is making it very intolerable. And then they're wondering why morale is down or turnover is over and all these kind of things. So when you go in and do an organizational assessment, like I've been employed to do for organizations, and you do employee work engagement surveys and see what's going on, you put all these things together. And when you have to pull that report together, sometimes, it depends. It's a mixed bag on whether they receive it or not. It's like, there's a biblical thing, scripture in the Bible, that time where David and the prophet, I'm paraphrasing here for people, where the prophet was given an analogy of something happening where a man had came and took something of someone else's. And David, being the king, was wroth. Who is this man? And he couldn't believe, because the analogy that it was given was referring to something. And then when the prophet told him, you the man, you are the corporate, and sometimes we don't want to hear we're the problem. But Shannon, you're the problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're the one that is affecting our performance. So mature people can understand it, take ownership, and move forward and make amends and make sure that the culture continues to run. Even take it away from business, take it out of a employee-employer, in relationships, just basic relationships. Unforgiveness and grudge and things are holding on to people that causes a domino effect in other areas of their life because of somebody not taking ownership and accountability of their actions.
Yeah.
Now, I can't correct John Doe's action, even if he's wrong, but I can control Shannon Jackson's actions.
Yep.
How I respond, how I receive, and how I process that exchange.
Mm-hmm.
And not allow that to hinder me from growth, be it personal or professional, if there was a conflict in either one of the arenas.
I'm gonna let that bake for a second on the audience because that's so popular right now. I mean, what you just said, there's all this sort of fast food stoicism going on right now, and that's not what you said is not fast food stoicism, but there's a lot of this popularized resilience training and resilience recognition of like, I am that which is in control of those things that are foisted upon me, or daggers that are flung to me, be they verbal or otherwise. And so I just wanted to let that set for a moment because it's so true and it is so necessary in a sort of modern world, like modern beyond modern, where we are right now with technology and the closeness. And like you said, we have toxic workplaces out there running on old models and things that just lack of awareness. So the fact that you have Living Your Life Without Limits and that you are doing this kind of, I would call it like a holistic service provision or purveyorship, because I look, down the list of what you offer in the way of service to your clients, and it's comprehensive, it's multimodal, and I think that's key, I think, for a larger organization to attack things, if that's the right word, from all these different perspectives. So you've got the employee care, well-being, and then you've got this management care, evaluation, and maybe an investigation into, like, all the things you were just saying. So the fact that and then health and wellness and all these different things. It's so, it's not novel, but it is novel, if that makes sense. Like it's just a better, more holistic way to approach this, I think.
Yeah, and a lot of our clients too are small businesses.
Okay.
I think they need a lot of help because they don't have the budgets of big resources. So all of our clients are not
big
huge
corporations.
Organizations. We just recently, which I'm very proud of, became approved to be a contractor for the federal government. So we're going to be going into that space to be able to do federal government contracting. But a lot of small companies can use support, especially owners of one or two, because they have a lot of issues that they can avoid having labor disputes because they don't know better. They have a skill. They started the business because they were a great cook, maybe, or a excellent artist or something of that nature. And understanding the dynamics, how to put a process and structure in place when you begin to bring employees in, should start from that novice stage, that beginning, so that you can set it up correctly before it grows into something big. So I advocate starting it at the onset, putting structures in place when you're small versus when you're bigger, because when you're bigger, it's already kind of jumbled. And you got to go in and kind of reset things. But these type of supports and things can be tailored to a small business, a one or two or something of that nature. Because what you're trying to do is make sure you have a system and structure in place, one that serves you, the employer, and also serves your employees, because you're trying to create a, when at all possible, win-win, where you have longevity with the employees, where they enjoy coming to work, enjoy doing what they're doing. And you also have a quality that your sales will reflect that, as well as the productivity of your organization.
That will help with the growing pains. It's a proactive approach. I like that. And also a midwifery of sorts. Like you're helping that person who is the talented artist but doesn't have management skills necessarily to you're midwiving that birthing process for them. And that's awesome. I didn't even think about that. I mean, of course I didn't. Yeah, you're the expert. But yeah, that just makes so much sense when I hear it.
Helps them give them the foundational tools. So,
Right.
so sometimes we do small, workshops and things where there's a few and do a couple of those and give them what they need. And then they're set to go forward. And then there's other times where in some cases it's more comprehensive because it is more macro, it's bigger and you got to unlayer it, but everything is not to that level. But if you start anything right in the beginning, if you set it up right, oftentimes you're going to get a better outcome and result than having to redo it all over again. You know what I mean? At least I found that in my experience. What happens oftentimes is that when you come into organizations, it was never the structure or the expectations were not ever clear. I can't tell you how many organizations I've gone into and people said, no one ever gave me my job description. And I'm not talking all just big ones, even small ones.
Yeah.
I really don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Here's another. I love this one. I never got orientation.
Yeah. Yep. And that goes back to, like you said, your niche, and you're not a generalist. You're more of a specialist in something, whether it's tile laying or art. Yeah.
I haven't had an evaluation. I've been here 5 years.
Wow, 5 years. They're just coming along for the ride. Buckle up.
Never got a raise.
Oh, that's not
still
good.
waiting on it. You know what I mean? So you see a lot of that. Or what is the mission of the organization? I don't know. I've been here. Nobody told me. So it's all those things that's going on, and they're from, like I said, army of one or two to way over here, or where it's an assumption and it's no clarity of expectations on either part.
Okay.
So, and you could apply that same concept in a relationship, right? Where if you're going with somebody kind of steady or something like that, they have an expectation that's different than yours. Did we ever define what this is?
Yeah.
Well, I thought we were exclusive. Who told you that? That kind of a thing. I never said that. Oh, I assume we always go, So taking the assumptions out of whatever it is and making sure we're clear. You know what I call it? Managing expectations. You can't manage expectations if you don't know what they are.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Not everybody's a mind reader. Exactly. In fact, who is a mind reader?
I know, exactly, right.
A couple of those lucky guys down at the racetrack, but that's about it. Yeah, and you never hear from them anyway. Exactly. So let me ask you, how many years have you had living your life without limits?
So CNS Services, which is the parent company, originally was operational in 2002, but I had it dormant all those years because I was working for everybody else. And it wasn't until 2019 that I really began to
the rubber hit the road
on it, because I quit and went into everything else. And that's when I added the DBA of Living Your Life Without Limits.
Okay. I ask because I'm curious to know, in this 4 years or so, or 3.5 years that you've been doing this and applying this, what the feedback has been over a deeper time scenario. Are you getting that kind of feedback from people that you started with a few years ago?
Absolutely.
Nice.
And like I said, we've had clients that we originally were on for one project, and they brought us back for repeat work, maybe something different that they wanted to experience. We started doing workshops and conferences, and these are not for businesses, for individuals, and bringing people together. And we kicked the first one off in 2021 or 2020? I think it was, or 2022. Yeah, because we're into our third one this year. So this will be our third one this year. And it's been great. It's really been great. And we continue to evolve. We continue to challenge ourselves. We continue to grow and enhance and make sure we're staying current on what's relevant and bring practical solutions to the individuals or to the organizations to help them. So and really meet people where they are. And I think each client we take on, we also learn. So we also learn. So we resharpen the pencil and say, what do we learn from this experience? So we do client surveys, have them give us that. What did you like? What did you didn't like? So that made some of the things that we're doing, like software changes. We're updating software and different things of that nature, project management software. We've added this security thing that we're going through where we're going to be security, cyber safe, and just various different things. So make no mistakes, as we give out, we are also taking the same information and reassessing and reevaluating the organization as we're growing as well.
That's the healthiest kind of system. You know, you're not dogmatic, you're not rigid, that you are open to input and you can correct your own course. And I think that's essential. Yeah. I mean, you're walking your own walk, basically. So Shannon, we've got about 10 minutes before I need to give you a break before your next appointment. And I want to touch, I want to give the space for
surely flew by, Justin. It's been great talking to you.
Oh, I've loved it. But I want to give us a little space to talk about your podcast, because I've watched some of your YouTube videos and they're just, so we've been talking about how you work with businesses and corporations and individuals within that bracketing of those systems. But let's talk a moment, because this is something that anybody can access. And I want to make sure that that's known, because you talk from the heart to the heart. And I think, I was listening to the one with Doreen Mendez Sierra, and she had a double stroke, ischemic and hemorrhagic, and bless her heart. And she's 10 years in and she's working through it. I had a brain injury in 2011 and it was more fluidity, speech fluidity versus full-on aphasia, but it was very close because I couldn't bring words out. I couldn't form sentences, and I couldn't even, like at one point I wouldn't know what you were saying, but bless her heart. So let's talk about your YouTube channel, and you're on a lot of the podcast platforms.
Yes, we're on Spotify, we're on iTunes, we're on YouTube. I think we got over 15,000 followers or something like that.
Yeah, you're up there. Yeah.
And a lot of that is really just motivation, education. It's not just employee driven. Sometimes just speaking from the heart of something to encourage, and have various guests on. I try to bring topics that bring things that people can relate to and understand. A lot are dealt with in health and wellness areas, because obviously with the background, dealing with strokes and warning signs, cardiac and so forth like that. But some of them are just about motivation.
Yeah.
And we also touched on subjects on sexual health as well. So I love that, because those are, and the ones that I really love is when we do the live. We just did something about resumes not too long ago.
Okay.
On resume ghosting, to help people on resume ghosting. And we did a live chat, and it was very engaging, where people come in. The Living Your Life Without Limits platform is just that. It is actionable advice, speaking into the lives of people, kind of motivating you. As I said, motivation, bringing education and inspiration, inspiring you, is to speak back into your life, to encourage you, no matter what's going on, that God has a plan for your life. And I always want people to understand, life is tough. I read a shirt years ago that said, "Life is tough, get a helmet." I thought, that was so clever. You know what I mean? Whoever made it.
Right.
So you're going to go through challenges in life, no matter what it is, be it personal, be it business, just be it within yourself. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. You know what I mean? But despite that, I want you to bet on you. I want you to look in the mirror and say, guess what? I'm worth it. Make yourself a priority. What is it that makes your heart merry, that brings you peace? I did an exercise real quickly, and I can't go through the whole thing. Maybe the next time we're together, or when I'm coming on our show, we'll deep dive into it a little bit, where I told people, I had an exercise. I said, write down 10 things real quickly. I said, out of 10 things, just write down what it is that you want to accomplish. Just write them down. What are the 10 things you want? In 1 year, what would you like to do? Write 10 things down. Now go on the flip side of that. Out of those 10 things, what is the most important thing to you right now? Because sometimes we're here, we're there, we're there, we're there. We cannot do it all at one time.
Mm-hmm.
What is the one thing that will be a game changer that brings you forward to what you really, really want to happen? That's what I asked. So flip the paper over. And what is that one thing?
Mm.
Now, when you identify that, spend 90% of your time focusing on that. Because most of the time, what we say we want, we spend the reverse. We spend little time on that. It becomes what I wish I want to happen.
Mm.
Well, it's nothing going to happen on a wish. You got to put skin in the game and put effort in it.
Mm.
And when you do that and you reach that, then you can work on some of the other things, but it'll bring such joy and peace to you.
Mm. Beautiful advice.
Living your life without limits is about speaking into the lives of everyone. And for your listeners, there's an original song on there, which is part of our preview of the channel.
Oh,
it is originally scored talking about living your life without limits. And it's a catchy tune to it. So
neat. Something to discover. And of
Check
course, all links will be down below in the description field. People who follow my channel know this already. Any information for Shannon will be down below. So you can discover it there. And I encourage you to, because like I said, and I'm not saying this lightly, Shannon, you're infectious and you have this personality and you have this force within you, and it shows up in those motivational talks. So if somebody out there's having a rough patch, things are not looking good, there's a little bit of fog around you, go listen to Shannon for a moment, or go rewind this conversation.
Exactly. Please do. And feel free to email us at info@livingyourlifewithoutlimits.com. Sometimes I get those asked questions and we respond to them as well.
Beautiful. That's so loving of you. Let me ask you if there's anything else you'd like to share, because like I said, I do want to give you your time before you have another appointment. I know you have another appointment coming up. So is there something else you'd like to tack on to the back end of this conversation to leave us with?
First of all, I want to thank you so much, Justin. The time has gone by so fast.
I know.
Conversation with you, and I hope your listening audience enjoyed something that I said. My intent here, I understand my purpose very well, and it is to inspire and to lift, and I enjoy it so much. And I just want to leave with your listeners, no matter what's going on, tomorrow is a new day. And know and understand your best days is still ahead of you. So go forward and live your life without limits.
That's perfect. Cut. Yeah, we're going to leave it with that. And you're walking your walk. You're living authentically in that regard. And I just want to honor you for that, because the world benefits from that, and people in the world benefit from that. So thank you, Shannon. I very much appreciate what you do.
I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am.